Now with more, the host of our brand new show here on the Fox News channel is called Bongino Filtered. I'm sorry, Bongino Unfiltered. There is no such thing as Bongino Filtered. I don't, of course it's unfiltered. From a law enforcement standpoint, you were on all summer with us last summer, Dan. We watched as over 3,000 police officers were hit and hurt with bricks and bottles and rocks and Molotov cocktails. We saw it with our own eyes. Now with these states like New York have made a decision that even if you were involved in looting and arson and throwing bricks and bottles at police officers, even though we have all the incontrovertible evidence, your video, your face doing it, we're not going to prosecute you. How does that not result in more of this behavior?
Yeah, listen, it's time to stop screwing around with this. And I think too many Republicans, not you or me, but too many Republicans have been too delicate. They're into like this whole cutesy time crap. That's not my bag of donuts. It's time to start speaking the truth here, okay, Sean? We know what works in law enforcement because we've tried it. We've been there. I was a cop in the Giuliani era in New York, and they had a policy on rioting. It was very simple. The first person who throws a rock goes to jail. The second person who throws a bottle, Sean, you know what happens to him? He goes to jail. Here's a pop quiz. What happens to the third person? Nothing, because there is no third person. That's why we didn't have any significant rioting back then. It's not a complicated anti-riot policy. Just don't let people riot. It's not hard. Not only that, we know that works. They threw that out the window. They just said the old David Dinkins, Stephanie Rawlings Blake approach, let them blow off some steam. And blow off some steam while they're burning down your building. It's interesting how people with no skin in the game want people to burn down other people's buildings. But what makes it worse is, this is why I say this whole cutesy time thing is over. We need to call the Democrats out for what they are. They're either one of a couple things here. Either they're the dumbest people on planet Earth, which I don't believe. I'd love to say that, but it's not true. Or they're deliberately destroying America's cities. Option 2 is more frightening. Because they know they're not stupid. They saw the broken windows policing implemented across the country. Bill Bratton, Jack Maple, Rudy Giuliani, and others across the country, where they enforced low-level crimes. And you know what happens, Sean? When you take the low-level criminals off the street, they're not on the street to commit high-level crimes. You have to understand, this was a revolutionary thing, and I lived through it as a police officer at the time, and it cleaned up New York City like that. So what does that say to you, that they're throwing that out the window? They're willing to see and watch people die to make a political point? That's really sick.
But apparently they're just in a state of denial. Now, if you don't prosecute the people when you have the evidence of them committing crimes, how is there any other outcome except you're going to get more of that behavior? Because it's pretty much a get-out-of-jail-free card and you're not going to get in trouble card. Why wouldn't we expect more of it? I mean, it seems like the obvious conclusion.
Yeah. Isn't it weird that you and I have to have this conversation? Like,
kind of, yeah.
You and I are pretty decently intelligent guys. We're not Stephen Hawking. I'm not Albert Einstein. But you and I are like, hey, so I got this idea, right? Let's let criminals out of jail and not prosecute them for committing crime. And you said to me, well, more crime's probably going to happen, right? And then I'm like, yeah, Sean, more crime's probably going to happen. And yet Democrats, you and I love it, but there are Democrats scratching their heads like, oh my gosh, Hannity's a genius. What just happened on his show?
It's funny, but it's also sad. You know why?
Yeah.
Because every weekend, I can come on this show every Monday, and I can give out the statistics of human beings that are shot. Many of the minorities, many of them whose names we'll never hear. Names that I have scrolled since the Biden-Obama years that nobody ever cares about because they can't politicize
Sean, no one, you're the only one doing it. Nobody cares. No one. If there's a police use of force incident, even if the cop's arrested and there's a process going on, it doesn't matter. I see the name scrolling now in the return. They'll go crazy. Yet you're scrolling, look at all these names. Enriquez, Smith, Hampton, Charles Ben. These are real people, folks. Sean's not making these names up. He didn't just pull these names out of the phone book and say, hey, let's put this segment on the show to get to get people welled up in the eyeballs. And Johnny Edwards, that's a person. That's a real person who's dead. Why doesn't he matter? Juan Bonilla. These are real people with families. They don't matter? Why not? Why don't they matter? Because you can't go and...
Dan,
I know it matters to you in this show, but it doesn't matter to these other people.
Matters to us. We got to keep fighting.
I know it does.
All right. Thank you. Congrats again.